Welcome to the Deep Dive. And a big hello to all our listeners, especially our C9 followers from the podcast and business page. Great to have you with us.
Yes, welcome. If you're tuning in as an Australian business owner, maybe a C-level executive, particularly in that, say, 34-plus bracket, you'll likely know the feeling. It's this constant juggle, isn't it? High operational costs on one side and the absolute need for top-notch competitive digital tools on the other.
Yeah, that pressure cooker analogy feels right. And
Yep.
it really ramps up when you look specifically at mobile strategy. You know the growth potential's there, but actually getting things done.
Hmm.
Well, that often gets bogged down. We hear it all the time from executives' frustration that key mobile app projects get stuck, slowed by these old ways of working, these silos, and that leads straight to missing those crucial growth targets.
And those missed targets, they aren't just abstract. They have a real dollar cost. Sources we're looking at project Australia's total mobile revenue to push past AUD 8 billion by 2025. That's with a solid 8% compound annual growth rate. That level of growth is, well, it's significant. So sticking with inefficiency. It's not just bad strategy, it's actively costing you competitive edge, hindering operational optimization, and crucially, stopping you from reducing those overheads that just keep climbing.
Okay, so that's our focus today. We want to cut through that tangle. We're here to deep dive into unlocking Melbourne's mobile edge, specifically how mastering cross-platform app development using tools like Flutter and React Native can make a difference. If this sounds like something you're dealing with, or maybe someone you know is facing that internal tech paralysis, please do hit that follow button and share this deep dive. Let's get straight into it.
All right, let's first unpack the core issue, this traditional siloed native development. Separate iOS teams, separate Android teams, often separate code bases. Why is this still happening, and what's the actual cost? Well, historically, it was the standard way to get the best possible performance. That was the thinking.
Yeah.
But today,
Yeah.
sticking with that siloed model is almost like choosing to pay an extra tax on innovation. For the business owner, it just means duplicated effort. That obviously leads to budgets spiraling, timelines stretch out, weeks become months, and that's before we even touch on the user's experience.
And the user experience is so critical. If you're managing two different development streams, you often end up with apps that just feel different, don't they? That can be jarring.
Precisely. That inconsistency in the UX, how the app looks, feels, behaves across different phones, it leads directly to poor adoption. Some studies are quite stark on this. Subpar UX can cause abandonment rates as high as 70%. 70%. Think about that investment, only to drive customers away. It's counterproductive. And beyond that, this fragmentation makes it harder to integrate with older, necessary legacy systems. You end up with these internal data silos, which really hamper your ability to make informed real-time decisions.
And when you look at the Australian market specifically, sticking with this inefficiency seems, well, almost unforgivable. We're talking about, 34.4 million cellular mobile connections here as of early 2025. Plus, mobile traffic is now 64.2% of all internet use. Australians are living on their phones. They expect seamless experiences.
They absolutely do. You've got to meet them where they are. And the market split is pretty clear. iOS has around 54% share, Android about 44%. So if you stick with that old siloed approach, you're basically dedicating your full budget and effort down two separate tracks. Without getting proportional gains in speed or efficiency, you're leaving money on the table. You're giving up potential cuts in development time. Local execs report savings of up to 50%. This directly inflates your overheads, and frankly, it stifles your ability to chase higher revenues and gain that crucial market share.
Right, so those high operational costs aren't just external market pressures. They're actually magnified by this internal duplication. It means missing opportunities. Maybe competitors are advancing with AI or better e-commerce features because your teams are just too busy keeping two different trains running.
That's a perfect way to put it. And it leads us right to the solution. The conversation really has to shift towards cross-platform development. Using modern frameworks like Flutter and React Native, these aren't just, shortcuts or compromises anymore. They are genuinely robust, industrial-strength ways to build bespoke, high-performance mobile apps.
Okay, let's dig into those, starting with Google's offering, Flutter. From an executive perspective, performance is always key. That's often been the argument against older cross-platform tools. What makes Flutter different?
Well, what's really interesting about Flutter is how it tackles performance. It actually compiles directly to native machine code ARM or Intel code. This means it runs incredibly fast, almost like a truly native app, without needing that traditional bridge layer that used to cause slowdowns. Performance is genuinely impressive.
Okay, that addresses the performance concern. But what about speed of development? For anyone managing budgets and timelines, getting things done quickly is vital. What does Flutter offer there?
That really comes down to developer productivity, and the standout feature is something called hot reload. Essentially, developers can change the code and see that update instantly in the running app, without restarting, without losing the current state. Think about what that saves in just waiting time. It cuts down countless hours, which directly translates to reduced burn rate on developer costs and much faster project delivery overall.
And the adoption metrics look strong too, over 170,000 stars on GitHub by 2025. I also saw a benchmark mentioning lower CPU usage around 5 to 8%. Why should, say, a CFO care about 5% CPU usage?
Oh, it's a significant business advantage, actually, especially for apps that are used heavily or need to run complex processes. Lower CPU usage means less drain on the user's phone battery. So if you're running, say, a critical app for field staff or an e-commerce platform people browse for ages, or even healthcare app, better battery life means the app works reliably all day. Plus, because Flutter controls every single pixel on the screen, it's fantastic for creating those really unique, highly branded user interfaces. And it supports newer trends like integrating AR or VR think virtual try-ons in retail.
Excellent points. Okay, let's pivot to the other big player, React Native, backed by Meta and a huge open source community. If Flutter's edge is that deep native compilation, what's React Native's main strategic advantage for an executive?
React Native's philosophy is more learn once, write anywhere. Instead of compiling everything down like Flutter, it uses JavaScript, a very common web language, to render actual native UI components. So the biggest strategic plus, especially here in Australia where finding specialized tech talent can be costly and competitive, is the implication for your team.
Ah, so you can potentially use your existing web developers.
Exactly. You're not necessarily hunting for those scarce, often expensive native iOS or Android specialists. You can leverage the JavaScript skills you likely already have in-house to build scalable mobile apps. That's a huge win for flexibility, for staffing, and for controlling your budget. It's a key reason why giants like Facebook itself, Shopify, Klarna, why they've adopted it so heavily.
Makes sense. And with, 121,000 GitHub stars, it's clearly very mature. What kinds of projects tend to be a good fit for React Native?
It really shines where leveraging that existing web expertise is a major factor. Or for apps needing complex features with a lot of integration work, things like real-time chat or connecting deeply with Internet of Things IoT devices. Its efficiency with data flow also makes it great for things like logistics or inventory management apps.
Okay, the tech sounds impressive for both, but let's put the executive hat firmly back on. Looking at Flutter and React Native together, what's the hard, measurable ROI? What do these frameworks actually deliver back to the business?
Right, it really comes down to tangible returns. We're consistently seeing cost savings of anywhere between 20 to 50% compared to traditional native development. How? Well, primarily through the single code base. You build it once, you maintain it once, one team, one set of code. That drastically reduces maintenance overheads and often shrinks the required team size. And naturally, that leads to faster launches. Getting your app to market up to 50% quicker is a massive competitive advantage.
Let's make that concrete with a couple of local examples. You mentioned a Melbourne retail client using Flutter.
Yes, exactly. They managed to cut their deployment timelines by a huge 40%. 40% faster. And they integrated augmented reality for virtual try-ons. The result, a 25% jump in customer engagement. So that's innovation directly driving revenue, not just saving costs on the back end.
And on the operational side, there was a logistics app built with React Native.
That's right. This client was really struggling with inefficient paper processes, delayed communication between drivers and dispatch, just clunky. By implementing real-time data flows using React Native, they cut their internal operational costs by AUD 10,000 every single month. Imagine replacing those old, slow processes with an agile tool that turns those legacy issues into smooth, efficient workflows.
Those results are compelling. But okay, let's play devil's advocate for a moment. Any C-level exec knows that launching new tech isn't risk-free. There's vendor risk, the dreaded scope creep, unexpected costs. If these cross-platform tools are so efficient, where can things still go wrong?
That's a crucial question. And the single biggest, yet most avoidable mistake we see is rushing past the first vital step, the discovery phase, or doing a very superficial version of it. When an executive thinks they already know the exact solution and pushes straight into development, well, they're essentially building on assumptions, not validated needs.
And skipping or rushing discovery is just Asking for trouble, isn't it? Costly trouble.
It really is. It significantly increases the risk of scope creep, easily inflating costs by 30, even 50%. This is often how those past vendor disappointments happen, right? You end up, without proper discovery, building an app that maybe looks okay, but doesn't actually solve the real business problem. So you spent the budget, but you're not getting the ROI.
So let's outline what a proper, trustworthy discovery process should look like, the kind that actually mitigates risk.
Okay. Our approach, for example, is a structured, completely no-obligation session, usually 30 to 60 minutes. The main goal isn't to sell you something right away. It's to listen. Deeply understand your specific challenges. Are they high costs from old systems? Missed targets? Maybe internal resistance from teams? We use that time to map out your current operations, pinpoint the real barriers. Could be tech gaps, could be organizational hurdles. Only then do we start outlining a tailored strategy that includes recommending Flutter versus React Native based on your needs and giving you a clear, high-level roadmap.
That makes sense. It's foundational. Aligning everyone before coding starts saves enormous headaches and resources down the line. We saw one executive, through that discovery process, actually identify features they thought they needed but didn't. Trimmed 20% off the initial budget estimate right there. Proactive saving.
And that careful planning leads directly into tackling another common frustration: confusing or misleading pricing.
Yes, the pitfall of indicative pricing. An agency throws out a quick ballpark figure, maybe $50,000 to $70,000. They estimate, say, 10, 14 weeks at $5,000 a week. Sounds straightforward, maybe even appealing.
But because it wasn't based on deep discovery, these initial guesses almost always overlook critical details. Maybe they didn't account for integrating with your specific CRM or some niche regulatory requirement you have. Suddenly, these overlooked items require significant extra hours. That simple $70 estimate balloons by 30 and 50%. You're looking at a final bill closer to $91,000. Indicative pricing is built on assumptions, and assumptions often lead to surprise costs and, frankly, damage trust.
So the antidote has to be transparency.
Absolutely. The solution is what we call discovery-based pricing. It's precise because it's based on the detailed understanding gained in discovery. It's transparent. And crucially, we believe in billing to the nearest hour. Maximum accountability. For example, a clear hourly rate might be set, say, AUD 150 per hour. You know exactly what you're paying for.
And having that precise, transparent pricing structure enables another key risk management strategy, the phased approach, which limits the upfront financial exposure for the executive.
Correct. You break the project into logical stages, designed to deliver value early. Imagine stage one is building an MVP, a minimum viable product using Flutter, focusing just on core operational features. Maybe that costs AUD 20,000 over 4 weeks. That's roughly 133 hours at that transparent AUD 150 rate. But that initial delivery might immediately streamline operations enough to save, say, AUD 10,000 a month. You've essentially created cash flow at that first phase, which can then help fund stage two enhancements. It dramatically reduces your upfront financial risk and proves the concept quickly.
It really feels like this whole shift, moving away from siloed, assumption-based work towards transparent, efficient cross-platform development is the key. For Australian business owners, for C-level executives, mastering Flutter and React Native seems essential to get past those operational headaches and unlock real growth, especially in Melbourne's 2025 app scene.
It really is time to ditch those expensive, slow silos and embrace a strategy built on clarity, speed, and measurable results. If you're ready to move your business forward with a custom, high-performing mobile solution, well, the next logical step is a simple, commitment-free chat. Start that process with a free discovery call. Let's talk about your specific situation.
And we are C9, recognized as Australia's leading custom software apps, integration, and database developer company. You can find out more and schedule that discovery call directly at www.dc9.com.au. That's c9.com/.au. Don't let competitors get the jump while you're tied up with internal friction.
And maybe just a final thought to leave you with. Our sources consistently show that executives who really commit to that structured discovery process, they report launching their projects 25 to 40% faster. Think about that. When projects are transparent, when they're clearly defined, and when they deliver tangible wins early on, that internal resistance from teams, it often just melts away.
That momentum, that's the hidden advantage, isn't it? Maybe the ultimate competitive edge isn't just the code itself, but the organizational energy and alignment you build through trustworthy collaboration and a transparent process.
Precisely. So go on, click that follow button if you haven't already, and please do share this deep dive with anyone you think could benefit from these insights.
Thanks for diving deep with us today.
We'll catch you on the next one.